Hey guys, FilthyRobot here, bringing another guides, tips, and tricks video. This time we are talking about Atomic Era Civics cards. Let's dive right in and take a look at what we have new. First of these is Containment. Each envoy you send to a city-state counts as 2 if its suzerain has a different government than you. I have not found a reason to use this. I suppose this could be a way to try to steal a city-state from another player, a city-state they've had for a while, if you can save up envoys to do so ahead of time. It actually does sound pretty powerful, but it's been a while since I've actually tried to, haven't tried to use this in a multiplayer game yet. It actually feels like it could be pretty damn good for stealing those away. And there are some really powerful city-state bonuses across the course of the game, including things like science, gold, and production, either district production or military unit production. So I think this could be pretty good. This is, by the way, if the suzerain of the other, if the other player that you're trying to steal it from has a government choice different than you, which means if you get there first, if you get to the tier 3 governments first, probably at this stage they're going to have one too, but maybe not. Maybe they wouldn't have that. And at the very least, if they have picked a different one, then it's a very easy way to grab city-states off of them, since your city-states, your envoys count double. It's kind of cool. I'm going to have to play around with this a little bit more. The problem is it's in the very, very late game, and I haven't done too many very, very late game games except versus the AI, where this type of stuff doesn't really matter as much. Versus humans, this is going to be actually really cool. All right, cryptography, enemy spy level reduced by 2 in your lands, your spy level increased by 1 for offensive operations. This is a straight upgrade of police state. It's just better. Clearly, you don't gain any amenities, but interestingly, you can stack them. So I suppose this means that you could get -4 to enemy spy levels. That's pretty cool. I wonder how hard that makes it for them to do anything. I really am looking forward to seeing these numbers get played out a little bit in the games where I can have some sense of that. But that's again, like the same bonuses that we talked about last video for police state are going to be interesting for cryptography, except none of the trade-offs at all. When you are playing against multiple players and you are doing well, you will get teamed on, and when you're doing well, you will be the likely target of most of the spies of other players. So getting extra bonuses for that, for defending against them, is really nice. It's something that was very difficult to do. There wasn't much in the way of defensive bonuses versus spies in Civ 5. The stuff that you had available wasn't very good for defending against them. This is kind of interesting. I wonder if this will be powerful enough that you actually will kill most spies if you have both of these running. And that is finally, I mean, I feel like this has been all game long. I mean, the last 2 eras we picked up like 6 diplomatic cards, whereas like the first 4 eras we only got 4. Like finally they're expanding on the diplomatic policies that are available to you at this stage in the game, which I really, really like. So it's fun that there's another set of cards here that we can have some spy wars. We can have, you know, city-states become more than just another dump for envoys. We can actually compete by throwing throwing envoys at city-states of different suzerain statuses, and this is kind of cool. I like it. I like the diplomatic diversity at this stage in the game. Perhaps those policy slots will become a little bit more valuable in the later eras than they are in the earlier eras, which perhaps gives me some incentive to do things like build Potella Palace, which I often don't bother anymore because diplomatic slots are so weak in the early and mid game. Or rather, extra diplomatic slots are so weak. All right, let's take a look at what else is available. We have integrated space cell, 15% production towards space race projects in a city that has either a military academy or a seaport. The space race projects are extremely hammer intensive. Getting any sort of bonus for that is great, and getting a bonus for that in a military policy slot is doubly great, because most of the times you are not going to get SimCity bonuses in the military policy cards, so getting a direct SimCity bonus is going to be awesome. Yeah, that said, there's probably not going to be too many space race games going on, but if you do get there, this is going to be a very good card to have. Military first, 50% production towards... we already talked about these? No, not quite. So this looks like our next era of ranged and melee units, 50% production towards atomic and info era, ranged and melee. Yeah, ranged and melee aren't good in any era, and they're not any better in this era particularly. I don't think this is going to see much use. Yeah, production bonuses are good if you're at war and you need blocker units. I suppose this is one way you can do it. 100% production towards modern atomic and info era naval units, excluding carriers. I wonder why excluding carriers. I'm not entirely sure why that's excluded at all, but of course, if you are building boats, 100% production bonus towards boats is good. So if you're warring with people with boats, this is going to be a useful one. Other than that, nothing new here. All the rest of these were available in the previous era, so not a whole lot gained from military policies. Let's go take a look at the new economic policies. We have satellite broadcasts, triples the tourism. Really, that seems so weird, by the way. Let's just double check that. Yeah, there really just aren't a lot of military policies. There's not a lot of policies being added at all in this era. Just very, very sparse. Wow, the next video is going to be really short. Maybe we'll combine these two videos. We'll have a look. Let's see about that. Okay, so what do we have new to the economic policies in this area? Satellite broadcast triples the tourism from great works of music. I was referencing this earlier. This is a really, really good one if you're going tourism, because you will have a lot of musician slots as a whole, and the musicians, this makes them very, very powerful. So that's pretty good. I quite like this one. Only good for tourism, clearly. Doesn't do anything else all the rest of the time. Sports media, 100% theater square district adjacency bonus, and stadiums generate +1 amenity. I mean, +1 amenity per city that has a stadium is pretty weak. Stadiums are very late game building. You don't tend to build entertainment complexes in all of your cities, and the ones that you do, you don't tend to build stadiums in all of your entertainment complexes. And yeah, this is just not a lot. This is only 1 amenity for having to have both a card slot and a lot of expensive prerequisites. And I don't care at all about the 100% theater square distancy adjacency bonus at this stage in the game. And actually, nobody cares about that. No one cares about this at all. Even the people going tourism, they don't care about extra culture here. They care about extra tourism, and this is going to be only a cultural bonus. So yeah, I can't imagine a time I'd really want to use sports media. I'd have to be incredibly desperate for amenities. Heritage tourism, 100% tourism generated from great works of art and artifacts. Awesome. Just more tourism modifiers. You need that as quickly. You need as many of those as possible, especially versus players, because as soon as they realize how close you are to tourism victory and they realize they're in danger, they're going to start warring the crap out of you. And really, it's a race between how long before their combined production kills you versus how quickly your tourism kills them. So you need as much tourism as you can. So any sort of multiplier is going to be very nice. And this is a pretty big bonus. It's not triples. It's kind of weird. This one, by the way, is plus 100% tourism, which is essentially doubling. But this one says tripling. Why doesn't this say this one say plus 200%, while this one says plus 100%? Or why doesn't this one say doubles while this one says triples? So I don't know what the disparity in the wording is. Yeah, we're definitely doing info error policies on this one. We'll do that in a second. Okay, what did we pick up for that's it. That's the only policies you pick up for economic at this stage in the game. Let's go take a look at what we picked up for the wildcard policies. Nothing. Really? Nope, nothing. Okay, pretty simple. Let's take a look at the remaining policies that you get in the info era. Not a lot of policies here. It's just the, I guess there are 2 diplomatic policies. One is 10% culture per city-state you're the suzerain of, and one is 10% science per city-state you're the suzerain of. This one in particular feels entirely useless to me. Maybe not. I mean, we will find out. We don't know exactly how tourism works now. And I say we, I mean us as a community, to the best of my knowledge, don't know exactly how tourism works at the time this video is recorded. I don't think the exact numbers are out there. But my understanding is that tourism is, whereas culture is useful for defending tourism, culture is not all that useful for generating tourism. So I don't think a 50% culture bonus really helps someone. If you're at this stage in the civics tree, you have all the culture. You've already got all the cultural policies. What are you doing with culture? So maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we'll find out that it's very helpful for tourism in some way that I don't know. But at the moment, I look at this and I say that's not very useful, because you're just not going to want that at this stage. You're going to have, if you're in the info era, you have this social policy to do it. Well, okay. What are you going to get with the rest of your culture? So, I don't know. Doesn't seem very good to me. This one, on the other hand, I could see a utility for this, especially if you're going some sort of tourism-based strategy where you invested heavily in things like theater districts, where you have a ton of culture and your culture is much stronger than perhaps your science is. So you got to globalization ahead of where, but you haven't yet finished the science tree. Then getting 10% science per city-state you're the suzerain of is actually a really big bonus. That's going to be, in all likelihood, that's somewhere between 30 and 50 or 30 and 60% science boost, which is a lot. That's a lot of science. So that one actually feels like it'd be pretty damn useful if you're going a culture victory, because you're going to need the science text to get the military to survive long enough to win the tourism victory. So that's the thought process on that one for me. Let's take a look at the two economic policies. First of these is online communities, plus 50% tourism output to civilizations in which you have a trade route. Again, any of the tourism multipliers is going to be good. I don't think this is going to be that useful in multiplayer, because if you are getting close to a tourism win, and one of the ways you're doing that is by sending them trade routes, the opponent is just going to war you immediately to break your trade route or to cancel your trade route to them. It doesn't actually break them anymore in Civilization 6. It just stops them from running, and now you can do something else with your trader. This is going to be useless. Versus the single player, this is fine. It's just in one more tourism way to stack tourism against the sad, hopeless AI who don't know what they're doing and don't understand what's being done to them. So certainly use this to take advantage of the AI. Let's take a look at e-commerce. Plus 5 production and plus 10 gold from international trade routes. It runs the exact same problem this one over here did, which is that everyone's going to be warring you at this stage in the game, in a multiplayer game, if you're about to win. So you're not going to have any targets you can run gold in production to. Now, as I said before, there are maybe some weird scenarios where you and another player are teaming up together to attack yet another player, and therefore you could run this to each other, and that's really big yield, so that would be great. And versus the AI, of course, this would be great if you're trying to do something where you need this production and gold to win. Perhaps you need it to finish your spaceship project or something like that, in which case it's a very strong amount of yield. So that's decent, but I don't think it's going to see much use. And then finally, the military policy, plus 50% production towards info era units and carriers. I don't know why carriers. I guess they're expecting the air game to be so important that carriers are just super strong and you can't boost them till much later. I don't know why that carriers don't get boosted until now, especially where carriers, their tech isn't that late, right? Isn't carrier tech? I guess we can search. Combined arms. Yeah, combined arms. It's atomic era. It feels weird to me that you can't boost that before then. I suppose this is an atomic era unit, so maybe the boost for that shouldn't be applied till later, but that feels weird to me. Just feels a little bit weird to me. 50% production towards all info era units. The stealth bombers were pretty decent, and jet fighters I think were pretty decent too. So the boost to those is going to be useful, and this is actually a type of boost that you probably actually see come into play, which is you will be killing people with air units and be being killed by people with air units. So having a boost towards producing defensive and offensive air units seems like it'd be a pretty decent set of bonuses. I wasn't really expecting this to be both sets of eras when I was doing this, but I guess that actually concludes our series on walking through the various policies, civic card policies across the course of the game. I'm guarantee that you guys will think of some scenarios that I have not. The whole purpose of these is to kind of give my take on how good they are, what they're used for, and then also to incorporate that feedback from you guys, because you guys post in and say, oh, did you think about this particular scenario, Filthy? Or, oh, I had this one game in which I did this one awesome thing with that, and that was super awesome and super good. And I want to hear about that, because I will at some point try to incorporate that into my games if it's something I haven't thought of. And basically we're crowdsourcing this, right? We're using this as almost like a talking point. Like here's a point to start from this place. Where can we go with other ideas? And it turns out it's been working pretty well for the other series for us. I'm getting a lot of feedback from you guys playing a lot of different games and different experiences than I am, and we get to actually tap some of that experience and incorporate that into the comment section, which I think is really, really cool. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. If you did, please hit the subscribe button here on YouTube, or come follow me on Twitch and check out the rest of my guide video content, or if you're interested, some of the multiplayer games I have up there. So thank you for watching. See you guys soon. Filthy out.